I bought my second sailboat for the seawater, and I did it doing everything I shouldn't do. Maybe this information will help you when you buy your sailboat. I sail in Bahamas and in Florida with my Gemini 3000, and then I thought I want to continue. I want to know how it's sailing really the open ocean. So I came here to Dominican Republic with my Gemini 3000. But coming here was really difficult. And then I discovered that why the people says a boat is a blue water and a boat is a no blue water. And the Gemini is not a blue water for several reasons. One is because you can put everything that you want in your boat to sail, but other is that the boat is not strong enough, well, for bad weather. So I decided I needed to buy a blue water. At the same time, my wife said she wanted to be with me full time, not when she can fly to catch me. So we looked for a sailboat with two rooms, very comfortable rooms, and blue water. So we found a Prout 38. I tried to contact the seller, but just immediately the seller said, no, that boat is already sold. But that was super quick. But 1 month later, the boat was again in the market. So I was thinking, hey, so I saw the boat again in the market 1 month later, and I thought, wow, something happened here, but I really want that boat. I saw some picture and the boat looks very good for me. I mean, because I can compromise a little on the age, and I compromise a little on the state on the boat, because I could do some work. Not as much work as I did with the Gemini 3000 that I rebuilt all the boat, but I can do something. And with the age, I think some boats, if they are well constructed, the age is not totally important. So I talked with the seller, and the seller said, yes, you can come here. The previous owner stepped away, the person that wanted to buy it stepped away because a little conflict with the engine. I think some vibration, because the engine was kind of new for that boat. So I said, okay, I want to see it. I want to fly next week. He said, yeah, you can come, but other two people are in front of you. They are coming on Saturday, I think. So I said, okay, what can I do to have the first option? I said, the only option is to send a deposit of 10%. And I sent it without seeing the boat.
When you buy your first sailboat, a significant expense is going to sit. And not just because of the cost, but because of the frustration of going there believing a salesperson who says the sailboat is sail ready, or that it only needs a little work. Then you get there and see that it's falling apart. And usually even the salesperson tells you, no, just tighten the knot and you are good to go. And no, it's terrible. I had photos, lot of photos. I mean, not a huge number, but like 20. I think varied. I mean, not just 20 photos of the boat from the outside and not from the inside, which is a mistake that the salespeople sometimes make. But there were various photos that really covered almost the entire sail. And these photos gave you peace of mind because they show both good and bad aspects of the sailboat. So to give you an idea, they were showing the exterior, revealing everything, showing that the hull was in bad shape, terrible shape, that it needed repainting, that the sailboat in general looked ugly from the outside, and you could really see how old the sailboat was. The sailboat is a 1993, but you could also see some interesting things like a swim platform. The interior looked beautiful, which was what I liked most about the sailboat. The wooden interior seemed to be in excellent condition. Now, this is where photos can be sometimes deceiving, but the photos taken were of very high quality, so you could zoom in on them. For example, you could zoom in on any photo of the wood and see the details, and you could see if any stain you noticed was actually damaged or something else. There were many photos, including aerial drone shots. I think it was good job. You could say it showed honesty, because when I saw the sailboat, I saw the same thing. That was definitely important. I went and I saw practically the same thing. There was the engine, photos of the beds, of the rooms. You can clearly see the condition of the mattresses, which was very important to us, and the condition of the living room. Obviously, the living room looked good, and when we went to see it, it was fine. The fabric was already worn out, but that's hard to see in the photo. But many things look very good. In the photos, you can see that the interior in general looked very good, and the engine looked very clean. Something very important is that the things aren't corroded. For example, a collision is easy to fix, but if it is rotten, the corrosion starts to spread, and you don't know how far the damage can go. Overall, the exterior looked good. Well, the sails look at least decent, even though they were set up. The galley looked fine, but the front window looked awful. Horrible paint, and the rubber seal around the window looked terrible. Sometimes it's better to have more rubber, but it should actually cover the gap, because that can help prevent damage inside. Inside, there were things that just the sailboat wasn't in such bad shape. The dinghy looked dreadful, but overall everything looked more or less okay. It even looked somewhat seaworthy. Besides the photos, I also had the information that someone else had already tested, that an expert had inspected, which is what people usually do when they hire an expert. They had taken it out on the water and tested. Well, we headed there. I arrived a little early to try and find out more. To say hello to people in the sailing community are generally very social. I started finding out information about the sailboat, that they had indeed launched it, which some even found quite strange. So I thought, well, at least it sails, at least it doesn't sink. Then you start doing checks. Well, in the worst case scenario, it didn't sink. Well, maybe the rig, maybe the engine is broken, but at least something is still usable. And you start to be able to make a rough estimate of the sailboat cost. Once we arrived, we discovered that the sailboat basically looked the same as in the photos. That was great. I saw things I didn't like, things that I found unbelievable, like the valves that let water in from outside or let out. For example, the black water from the black water tank were stuck. I found it incredible that this wasn't mentioned in the documentation. At the moment they went out to test it, if something had happened, it was completely stuck. So I started to distrust the work done by the person who inspected. I didn't hire that man. I mean, they could have lied to me and said, look, this is what someone saw. And it was all lies. But I also saw documents from recent years where the sailboats had been inspected. And things like that weren't mentioned. In principle, that was fine. I started noticing little things that were wrong, but nothing too serious. Then we bought the boat. And that's when we really started to see what we were getting ourselves into, how well this was going to work out, waiting for the first rain, seeing where it would start leaking inside. The exterior paint was very yellow. My wife was dying to get the sailboat out soon, so we divided up the work, hiring a company to do the middle section of the sailboat, a really good paint job. We were going to do the bottom of the sailboat and the top section too, fixing any damaged fiberglass pieces. The cost was about 10,000 for the middle section. We also painted part of it blue. We messed up a bit, but we'll fix that someday. The sails. The front sail was wrapped incorrectly. Because it was wrapped backward, it burned. When wrapping, the last thing to be rolled is the sail protector. Since the sail protector was wrapped backward, it was well protected by the sail, but part of it was damaged. So we had to repair it and put it in the correct order. But the worst part was the main sail. Everybody said that, oh, that was fine, perfect, but I had to replace it. That sail was useless, and it turned out beautifully. I think the cost was around $2,500. The battery system was terrible. We managed to get by with it for about a month. Then we switched to lithium. From there, we had to start adding the cost of the device that convert the voltage from the solar panels to 12 volts to charge the batteries. We also had to service the sail drive. We had to make a lot of improvements to the davit to be able to lift the dinghy. We had to find a lightweight dinghy with a lightweight engine, but everything worked very well. Before we discuss whether it was a good idea to buy it like this or if it was crazy, I'm going to show you a little bit about the sailboat. The sailboat has a very good galley and it generally has plenty of space, very good space all around. We came from having a Gemini 3000 which is 30 by 14 feet and this one is 38 by 18.5. The usable area is practically double. The biggest difference you will notice initially is the amount of space it has. The number of places to store things, which means you can really use it almost like a house, where you can have, I don't know, your dishes organized in different drawers, your pots or pans, everything so you can live comfortably. As if you live in a small apartment. I say it like this partially because I compare it to the Gemini 3000, which for me was a sailboat where I could live comfortably, but it was really more like camping. This one is more like living in a small apartment in a big city. Also, a sailboat is a vessel you want to use to explore areas and practice hobbies, like diving, fishing, and all that requires different equipment. Space is also very important when comparing sailboats, especially if they are blue water or not. This one, unlike the Gemini, is a true blue water boat, partially because it has enormous water tanks that I could live easily on for 2 months, even though I'm already building a water maker to make a backup. But it also has a spectacular amount of storage space for food. It's very important when you are going on a crossing to have different types of food. We filled the sailboat to last at least 3 months when we went to the Bahamas. I think the food lasted us more than 3 months. The whole room is full of drawers for storing things. Food, spare parts, whatever you want. Even in the middle of the sailboat, there is a space that can fit a huge amount of stuff. The sailboat has two similar, very comfortable cabins with a storage area so we can live comfortably. At least we each have our own closets and everything, and we have plenty of clothes there. The freezer is also enormous. Like a backup plan, I have a small fridge freezer in the forward cabin of the sailboat, so that if one of the appliance fridge or freezer breaks down, I can replace it quickly. There's also a forward cabin, and in that cabin, besides my emergency freezer, we have the fishing rods, spare parts, and there is a mattress for another person who can sleep there in a relatively comfortable bed. It's not amazing, but it works. Plus a lot of storage too, where we can keep life jacket, cushions. It's a really good room. The aft cabins were perhaps what interested me most, because the bed doesn't feel cramped, so to speak. It's a queen bed for two people, and that bed has a side access that I found much more convenient than even the slightly smaller ones. It's a comfortable room with lots of drawers. The ventilation and the overall temperature of the sailboat are very good. The advantage of having this motor, which is actually a very old technology, is that if it gets tangled in a net, you can lift the leg and cut the filaments. It's a difficult task, but you can do it with the leg out of the water. With two engines, you have to go underwater to cut the net, meaning you have to go in with mask and maybe even a scuba gear or something like that. It's a really dangerous task because the waves, the engine goes up and down really fast. Now, what are my conclusions? Was it a good idea to buy this on a whim without anyone checking the sailboat? Well, there is a problem there, and that is that I think I tried to take advantage of the opportunity. So, seizing an opportunity sometimes means rushing out and buying something quickly. Taking advantage of this opportunity didn't give me time to find a trustworthy person to help me check the sailboat. And that's the main reason I didn't choose someone or pay someone. It's good, but it really costs money. I mean, hiring someone is quite expensive. They usually charge a lot. Plus, you have to put the sailboat in the water. You have to use it. So that has a cost, a pretty significant one. I mean, I think launching the sailboat for a test can cost $1,000, including everything. Plus, you have to schedule it. You can't launch the sailboats whenever you want. You have to request a time slot at the marina to launch it. So that can also involve hotel stays and paying someone to wait for you to launch the sailboat. The other thing is that I didn't trust anyone. I mean, even though I looked around a bit, I didn't see anyone I could really trust to tell me what's going on. The other thing is that I have seen many cases where the evaluator is wrong, because it is difficult, basically because there are things that are impossible to see. So I'd say there is a small percentage of things that you don't see even with some experience, and that small percentage that an expert might be able to see, perhaps with devices that measure humidity or with the experience, those things I could have negotiated with the seller. But that's another point. I think the sailboat was already at a very good price. That's my way of thinking. So if they have discovered more and more things, it probably wouldn't have been very easy to negotiate that either. Now, He could have saved me from a big surprise. I mean, if this sailboat have had a really serious defect and he had detected it, that would have been great. After using the sailboat for months, some surprises did appear. It turned out the engine was, well, the engine is fine, let's say in many ways. I feel it is running very well. It starts very well, but it has a problem. I don't know if it's the valve seals or the rings, but the oil is disappearing. It's not generating back compression, or I can't see any smoke, but the oil is disappearing. It's consuming 1 liter every 10 or 15 hours. So that's an impressive amount, but let's say it's manageable. I've been using it like this, and I don't plan to fix it for now. Maybe the seals. I don't. It doesn't seem economic viable. So let's say that was the big thing that maybe an expert could have detected, but I honestly think they wouldn't have detected it because you needed to have used the sailboat for a certain amount of time to realize that the oil was decreasing. Now, another thing I did notice very quickly, and that an expert could have detected, is that the seal was leaking oil. And perhaps it would have even fooled us because it could have indicated that the oil leak was from the seal. How much does it cost to replace the seal? Well, I don't know, but I did it myself. I had to replace that one and another seal in the leg. But that seal also started leaking after about 30 or 40 hours. So it is something they wouldn't have noticed. I really think that hiring someone in this case wouldn't have saved me anything, but it might save you from a huge problem. With the hurricane seasons ending, a new challenge awaits. Sailing against the continuing winds towards Puerto Rico and all the Caribbean islands. I'll keep you updated on how the sailboat performs.